The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday.
There we go. Now we got you.
Another week. The beginning. Well, of course, it's the Christmas holidays. Everybody's flying under the radar now. They're all out. They're all out Christmas shopping. Nobody's doing anything, right? Everybody's just a few little odds and ends. Nothing major going to go on for the next few weeks, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know.
And if it does, it's going to go on behind the scenes.
Well, you have to remember, you know, the day after New Year's is Inauguration Day.
Oof. Yeah, I can't wait.
So that's only, what, 3 weeks away?
Yeah, and I don't know if we still haven't gotten some things really squared away about Inauguration Day, have we? I think legal opinions still run abound on on offices and positions and the new charter, and I guess that'll go unresolved because just the city's adopting the position is
we only adopt it if it works for us.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah,
it's like the military did for a while there. Don't ask, don't tell. We don't know anything about the charter. We don't care about the charter, even though it was a 6-year protracted time to get that, and obviously it leaves a lot to be desired. So I guess the thing is just ignore it, even though it's supposed to be the working document for the foundation of our government in this city. So
exactly. I mean, it's truly sad that we pick and choose what we want to adopt, and we make up stories for the stuff that we don't have.
That's right. You know, or we'll make rulings.
Fall River at its best.
Or we'll have legal opinions, which are just opinions that are then taken as gospel, and nobody challenges them because you can't fight City Hall. Nobody's going to spend, you know, $100,000 in court fighting the city for a, you know, $14,000 position in the city or something like that.
Exactly, exactly. It's not worth the aggravation. But when you look at how much money the mayor spent to get reelected to a $120,000 a year job, and he spent what? $250,000?
Yeah, you know, but I mean, actually, you know, I mean, I guess today it seems, but I remember back when Eddie Lambert spent $400,000.
Yeah, exactly.
$400,000.
Almost $500,000.
And at the time, the job paid a little less than that.
Right.
Than it does now. So, so you know, there's a lot of perks. There's a lot of side benefits that nobody knows about when you're the mayor of the city. So
that's right, especially when you get somebody who can stick it in there.
Kind of like running for Congress. It takes like $10 million minimum to run for Congress. So they're going to run for a job that pays, I don't know, 90 grand, 100 grand. It's got great health care, of course. And
a great pension. You only got to serve 1 day for it.
You only got to do 1 day for it, yeah. You don't need to put 30 years in or 5, as some of our administrators do. But, you know, it's you know, it's a good gig. And they continue to you know, to be up to their, not up to their nostrils. They're up to their shoulders. They got their entire head stuffed in the trough, and they continue to do so on our money until we drain the swamp.
You know, it makes me laugh because we complain, cajole, get upset about money. Money, 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 money. Everyone complains about money. We can't give food stamps. We can't give welfare. We can't do this. We can't do that. But guess what? You have the biggest welfare trough in America.
Yeah.
Politics.
Politics. That's right. Yeah, and
nobody complains about that governmental welfare system.
Yeah, and they're not getting a few $100 on an EBT card either.
That's right. They're not.
They're getting big money. $80,000 stipends, and I wonder if the Senate President's stipend stops while he's.
I don't know. I was just reading something about that.
I'm guessing no.
I was just reading something about that because A reporter for the Berkshire Eagle, which is in the area where Rosenberg's from, because he's from Amherst, said that he doesn't believe that Rosenberg should be held responsible for the actions of his spouse. His spouse was groping other men, forcibly kissing them, and saying, I can get things done for you because I've got the ear of of the Speaker of the House. Sounds to me like that was a pay-for-play thing. Another form of political prostitution.
Well, not only that, what is he doing in the State House, you know, running around groping people? I mean, try that up in the State House, see how long you last. You know,
exactly.
It's like, that's it, you're going to jail. You'll be walking out of there in handcuffs in about 3 seconds.
And people wonder why I call them all political whores.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Hey, how many got a ticket this weekend? How many people got a ticket for parking on the wrong side of the street during the parking ban?
I was in my driveway.
So was I. And I had one of my cars in front of my house, which is the right side of the street. But people were complaining because it went into effect at 6 a.m. and I couldn't be up at 6 o'clock and and so on and so forth. And it really created a quagmire, which it does every year. Every year it creates a problem. You know that, I know that. You know, a good rule of thumb to use is if you hear there's snow coming, assume there's a parking ban on. Whether that parking ban goes on at 7 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, assume there's a parking ban on and park your car accordingly. This way you don't have to worry about a $40 ticket in the morning.
And by the way, it's whether the snow comes or not.
That's right.
Because there's absolutely, we always talk about how much money we've spent with snow removal, and it's already begun because we got, I don't know, I could barely see, you know, the pavement on a road was barely covered. And it had nothing on. They were plowing blacktop on my street because they came by like 6 times in 1 hour. Then I never heard another plow for the rest of the storm. But the storm basically amounted to nothing. Why don't we have a minimum snowfall before the plowing begins? You know, at least a few inches, so they'll plow. So they'll plow actual snow. You know how they always plow your driveway in when we get a real storm, and then you got a snow drift about 8 feet high in front of your driveway right after you got through shoveling it. Well, guess what? They went down my street 6 times, and there wasn't anything in front of my driveway because there was no snow to plow.
That's it.
They were plowing blacktop.
And you know, I've spoken to numerous DCM directors about this. Why can't we put them on hold until there's 2 inches of snow on the ground or 3 inches of snow on the ground? And here's what they said. The contractors don't want to wait around unpaid. Too bad. You want it, you got to do what you got to do.
Those contractors want money.
That's
Believe
it.
me. And if they're going to pay them for sitting in a parking lot drinking coffee,
and that's what they do,
or driving up and down streets that don't have any snow on it, look, hey, you're going to pay them? The street should be plowed. But I mean, they don't pay. I don't think there's anybody else that gets paid to come in and wait to go to work.
I know.
So that means if you work for Stop and Shop, if you get there 3 hours early, sit in the parking lot and drink coffee, you're going to get paid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're getting ready to go to work. So, you know, if we're going to plow snow, let's have some snow to plow. I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
I don't think so either, but hey, they say it is, so I find that quite interesting. Hey, so what do you think about this couple that's claiming the city never paid them for property?
I'll tell you what, if this isn't an example of our government at its best, they say they don't own a property, but they're charging them their stormwater fee.
Exactly.
They can find them for the bill, but they don't want to pay them for they don't want to pay them for the taxes. So
right.
This is a classic case. I mean, here we go. They're saying what was that? Oh, I mean, and this is another thing that smacks of, why can't we collect taxes? Why are we always screwed up with tax collection? I don't know what kind of system we got, but we actually have a category in the treasurer's office that is, quote, owners unknown, unquote. So, okay, owners unknown. So how do you collect taxes from owners unknown? You know, what do? Stake the bill in the middle of the property? You know, stick it on a post? You know, so they're unknown, but they're known enough to get a stormwater fee.
That's right.
So, you know, this is just another example of of the absolute chaos that we call a government.
Right, and the city allegedly set $40,000 aside in the treasurer's office in an account that's listed as owners unknown, and they're alleging the price offered is $20,000 for each portion of land. But it's too low, and the Glicksmans are eligible for damages because the impediment of the use of their property where they once ran a trucking company. They say they can't turn vehicles around in their property anymore.
Yeah, so, but I mean, if they ran a trucking company, obviously there's a record of them having the land. So, I mean, all these things just don't add up. But the only thing that does make absolute sense to me is they figured out where to bill them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. When they owe you money, they can't find you. But when you owe them money, they will track you down like a bloodhound and get the bill to you. Well, that's the city.
I love this because, you know, according to Joe Macy, they've been complaining about this taking since day one, which began before this began before he was appointed in mid-2015. They could have had the money and they turned it down. Now the matter is in litigation and any further negotiations on compensation are on hold. So we're just going to let the money just keep accruing, right? I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, well, they said they've been complaining since day one, which means that obviously, you know, it wasn't like a Johnny-come-lately thing. They're going to do it now because they've been doing it, but obviously we don't know there's not full disclosure yet. Why didn't, he said they could have taken the money. What did they offer him, $3? I mean, we don't even know what the offer was. So obviously there has to be a reason. If they offered these people, you know, there are legitimate issues here that none of us know, and we can't.
Right.
You know, you can't speculate. The only thing we do know is that even though he said they've been arguing this from day one, they still don't say they own the property, which is you know, obviously it's great for the city to say owner unknown, owners unknown.
But this gets even better, because the Glickman are also complaining of the fact that another easement was granted to Carrig, Cloverleaf Mills.
Yeah.
Okay? And they say that the attorney for the Glicksman, Randall Souza, says the city is violating the law that governs eminent domain regarding the easement that's granted to Robert Carrig, the private Cloverleaf Mill developer who had plans to build the road as a second egress from the property. At the same time the city took Glicksman's parcels by eminent domain, it took a portion of Carrick's land. But unlike the Glicksmans, Carrick was paid $52,000. The easement agreement gives no monetary compensation to the city, although Carrick is responsible for the cost of constructing the two-lane road.
Unbelievable. Yeah, well, again, as I said, you know, favoritism and you know,
cross my palm with silver.
Right? Yeah. Give me the silver. And but like I said, all this, they deny it, but they admit that they've been complaining about this since day one. But they're not there now. They're denying their ownership. Owners unknown. They're classified, but they're not classified in that same treasurer's office for the sake of sending out the stormwater fee.
That's right. And, you know, Ms. Glicksman, Ruth Glicksman says, this has taken years off of both of us. You know, they say you hit 70. It's supposed to be the best time of your life. I can't even tell you what this has done to our lives. And it's been going on, and 2013 is when it started. Ruth Glicksman said, it's just taken our lives away both mentally and financially. Sounds to me like you've got an emotional damages there.
Yeah, well, you know, like I say, the government has no sense. You know, the other thing is Sam Glickman said that the bike path is only 10 feet wide, yet the city took a 66-foot wide swath. So, I mean,
so they knew they were putting a road in.
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously it's speculation, but I think that if you took 66 feet when you need 10, you knew something else was going to go there, and you know, and that's. But again, this is government, and government will continue to run roughshod over the people because people like the Glickmans, you know, they've been tied up since 2013, and they're spending money on attorneys and stuff, and they just wear them down because guess what? City doesn't pay their attorneys. We pay them.
Exactly.
So you can't fight City Hall not because you're not right. Well, good luck, Mr. and Mrs. Glickman. I hope you win, and I hope the city gets it stuffed where the sun doesn't shine.
Hey, Chip, you want a doobie? You want to get a joint? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. I like the name too. The Hope,
Heal, and
Health Clinic should have been like, yeah, well, I hope I get high.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I won't care if I'm healed clinic, you know. So
reminds me of that song. Gonna fly.
We'll begin selling marijuana by the spring, you know.
And you know, I'll tell you, we're really rough on the mayor, and we usually are. But I got to tell you something. According to him, and if he's accurate, then I've got to give him a lot of credit. He wrote his agreements with these marijuana companies where it is money off the top, not after the net, but money off the top.
Well, good.
Which is smart. Because
well, kudos to him. We'll give him kudos for that one. I totally agree with that position for the city.
Yeah,
But then again, will they use that money for the best interest of the people?
No, we're going to use it for streetscapes for his friends.
Yeah. But the fact is, that's the right way to do it. What you do with the money is another thing. It's just like Atlantic City. Atlantic City made billions of dollars, never reinvested in the community. And anybody that's ever gone to Atlantic City knows that if you took... if you went a half a block off the boardwalk, you were in a ghetto, and it wasn't because casino gambling wasn't bringing in the money. It was because city government and state government were misspending the money they got from
Imagine that.
That's right. They
Imagine that.
It in the right
not
place.
like Fall River would ever misspend any money.
No, never, absolutely
like
not.
$250 million for
And the thing is
school.
with this marijuana stuff, it's kind of a... It's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, it can lead to a lot of problems with people being impaired, but from what I've and I don't, but what I've read, there's a lot of documented evidence that it does really help some people with pain and stuff so that's one of the problems. The problem is that it is beneficial to people, especially who are undergoing chemo and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And in a lot of pain. And it is, nobody's, but the problem is that I don't even know if people can afford it. Somebody was telling me, how much was it for a brownie or something like this? Like
it's still like $40 or something.
Yeah, it was ridiculously expensive. I mean, they're probably better, that's one of the problems. They'll be better off buying from some dealer on a corner and making their own brownies.
Well, and one of the things that this company is saying very clearly, and as well as Attorney William Flanagan, former mayor of the city of Fall River, is that they have to meet stringent federal guidelines, which I find really contradictory because the federal government says it's illegal to sell this stuff. I don't put me in that position right now.
Yeah, I don't know how stringent those guidelines are because I don't know why they'd make guidelines for something they say is illegal.
Right, but they've made them. So
yeah, well, that's the feds they've got plenty of time to do things that are even irrelevant. So. But and like you said, but they have to meet these guidelines, and it drives the cost up. But the problem is, there's also a black market.
Of course, and
for this stuff. So.
And Attorney Flanagan said very clearly on the air, he said, the stuff that you can buy on the street is going to be much more potent than what we're going to sell you. Because it will be. Because they can only have a certain percentage of THC within the pot, within the marijuana. Mm-hmm. And that's all they can have. Whereas on the street, they can make it with as much THC as they want. So.
And it's much more dangerous because you don't know what you're buying on a street.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, you don't know, what else is in there, and but it's going to be an interesting thing to see what kind of. Looks like this is a.
What I find interesting.
To my pun of the day, this looks like a growth industry.
One of the interesting things about it, this is located in the same place that the. Drug addict rehab facility was located. Maybe that's why they had to close them down, to get them away from the good stuff,
That's right.
So.
Oh, God.
But they're doing a lot of construction on the mill. on West Street, and they're putting in, it's a 172,000 square foot brick mill building at 1 West Street. Borden City Mills, which is also the name of one of the mills that's housing. So hopefully people don't confuse them because they're so stoned.
That's right.
They push apartment 605. Hey man, I need a bag. Oh God, this is funny. So now we have our governmental officials advocating for our cities and towns to file lawsuits against the state. Senator Marc Pacheco is telling cities and towns like Middleborough and Lakeville and Taunton and Rainham to file a lawsuit against the state. But here's where the kicker is. Did you read the reason why? Economic injustice.
Well, if that's the case, those grounds, the lawsuit should have been filed like 50 years ago.
And civil rights violations.
Look, you know what really gets me about this is we gotta rep this. We got a rep that wants us to sue, wants the people to sue. Yet it's amazing to me how these guys can get anything they want for themselves.
Right.
Or their friends. They can give themselves pay raise when the state's got no money. They can do anything they want up on the Hill that they really want. They can push through home rule legislation that just, you know, like they did with that Braintree police chief, to give him 100% of his pension and allow him to go back to work with no penalty and get another 100%, you know, give him 100% of his pension, which is like 80%. But then he can go back to work with no penalty. So he's going to be making 180% of what he used to make. And, you know, there's no consideration, but he wants us to sue. If they, you know, why don't you sponsor a bill? It's because up there, they only get what the Speaker or the Senate President wants in the House and in the Senate. They put through what is anointed as being okay by the powers to be. And it's normally something that will benefit them or some of their campaign contributors and their friends. So now he wants the people to sue for the Southcoast Rail. Well, guess what? We've been doing without the Southcoast Rail. I've been listening to promises for the Southcoast Rail for about, what, 25 years?
Yeah, a little longer than that.
Maybe a little longer, maybe 30.
Right.
And, you know, these people keep continuing about this economic issues and stuff. And look, I'm going to tell you something. The Southcoast Rail doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that the Southcoast Rail won't be a benefit to this area. It'll be a detriment, because the only thing that'll do is serve to get people getting out of the city going toward Boston, because that's where the jobs are.
That's right.
They're not coming down here to work. Nobody's taking the Southcoast Rail to come into this hotbed of economy, the place that normally leads the state in unemployment, and there's virtually no high-tech jobs, and you know,
but Senator Pacheco said that.
The people in Fall River that don't have a job, they can't even afford to do that on a daily. They can't even afford to commute daily anywhere. So the fact is that rail will not be bringing in this giant influx of people from Boston to do what? Buy Charisse? I don't know what the hell they're coming here for. Well, that's about the only thing. They want to bring chow mein and Charisse back to Boston, because they're sure as hell not coming in here to work in a, you know, I mean, just drive up 128 and look at all the facilities on 128. Yeah. And it's like, what do you think? Those people are going to come down here to do what? I mean, use your head for something else besides a hat
But
rack.
what's interesting is, you know, Pacheco is advocating that cities and towns and the people file these lawsuits, yet he says a potential lawsuit could be filed on civil rights and economic justice grounds because some of the state's poorer people have less access to public transportation. Pacheco volunteered to coordinate meetings between community leaders. So he says right off the bat, you're piss poor.
Yeah.
You're piss poor.
Yeah.
But you gotta file this lawsuit because I can't do it for you.
Yeah, you're poor, and you can't even afford it because even if you do get the Southcoast Rail, you're still going to pay to take
get
it.
there.
They're not going to say we're going to build a Southcoast Rail. We're going to make it free for the poor people. You know, because they're not. So it's just.
And just look at Rhode Island, because Rhode Island has the MBTA, the commuter rail, going all the way down to Wakefield, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay? And they don't even get the ridership they need. They gave away ridership. Free rides.
Yep.
Free parking, free rides. And guess what? People still didn't ride it. And the people that do ride it from Boston are riding it because they're going to TF Green because there's a T stop at the TF Green Airport at their transportation center. So instead of driving down or being driven down, they get on the T. It comes all the way down into Providence, into Warwick. They get out at the airport, get on their plane, go to where they need to go to, come back, get on the train, go back home, and do what they need to do.
And they don't have to deal with all the
traffic or the headaches.
and the problem at Logan and the security. It's it's horrific to get through the TSA at Logan, and it's a smaller airport at TF. It's a nice little airport, and it's not even little anymore. It's actually fairly large. It's
and you have it's an international airport now.
Yeah.
You have flights going into Ireland. You have flights going to England. You have flights going to Germany out of TF Green.
Yeah, and starting in the spring, you're going to have daily flights up to Toronto.
To Toronto.
Yeah,
So, I mean, this is now an international airport. It's like Logan International Airport. This is going to be TF Green International Air. And you have more airlines now landing at TF Green, like Frontier. I was stunned when I saw that.
Yeah.
But you have more airlines landing there. And the T should be swamped with riders from Wakefield, at least to the airport, but it's not. The traffic is only what's going into Providence for commuters going to Boston who work there and going to Warwick for the airport. But from Wakefield on, it's dead air, baby.
Dead air space.
So makes it for a little strange thing. But hey, Senator Pacheco, you come up with the money and we'll file the lawsuit, okay?
Yeah.
You got the big stipends. Come on, you can do that. So the Drug Czar finally came out to speak.
Yeah.
Which I think was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. But he says, my career is done. Aguiar, 58, has not been able to get back into substance abuse treatment field since he resigned his city job on June 27th, less than 24 hours after public records came to light that showed he spent thousands of dollars in state grant money on a 4-night stay at a New York City luxury hotel. Hey, if you're going to go out with a bang, baby. Go out with a bang. I'm 58, Aguiar said. Where do I go now? Aguiar spoke out for the first time about the summer controversy that derailed his city job and career in substance abuse treatment. Aguiar challenged the perception that career gave him a cushy job with a $65,000 salary by claiming that he actually took a pay cut from previously working full-time at Stanley Street and part-time for the city. Nobody can match my experience on substance abuse prevention, Aguiar said. But they obviously can match your experience on how to spend money.
Yeah, well, he said a lot of things, and he was trying to just defray the fact that, look, what you did was wrong. You misused... you misused public money. You tried to live like a visiting, shore from one of the Middle Eastern oil countries on the taxpayer's dime. And I like the one. It was maybe for a pint of Haagen-Dazs at room service. Yeah, really? So I don't think they charge you $176 for Haagen-Dazs, even though room service is expensive at those major hotels. But look. Again, we try to get, don't take the hit. Don't suffer any. It's never anybody's fault. It's always something else. Somebody was picking on him, and Linda Pereira was picking on him, and that was unfair. Oh, look, you spent the dime. Now do the time.
That's it.
You got caught with your finger in the pie, and that's it. So, again. It gives you more things to stay angry. So, We will see you on Hump Day.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up
And
pretty
we're getting
fast.
closer to Christmas, you guys. Everybody
2
start
weeks
thinking.
away.
Somebody think about what you want us to do on our year-end wrap-up show.
Yep. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday, Mr. Mayor. Today's the mayor's birthday. If you see him, wish him a happy birthday. Have a great day. We'll see you on
Really? He's a
Wednesday.
December baby, too?
Yep, he is.
Oh, God. All right.